All right, hello. So this is my NGSS final product screencast, or I guess narrated screencast that kind of explains my ideas for how I would apply some of the stuff that I've learned in this PD. As a science teacher, I think this is obviously particularly relevant since it's all about science. But it's definitely gives me some ideas on how to improve some of the stuff that I've already started doing in my classroom. Excuse me. So, kind of going through my very first unit that I usually do every year, kind of starts off. I usually start everything with a comic, but this I particularly chose this one for this lesson today because it actually is relevant to the storyline that I chose. So the article that I am choosing to model my lesson after was the one that's all about storylines, using phenomena to create a next generation storyline. And that article, and I really liked that article, and it gave me some ideas kind of for how to structure this, especially reading through what the whole unit would do. When looking at the article, I read through the example of how do small changes make big impacts on ecosystems. I don't actually teach about ecosystems in my class, but I really, really liked how they used a very, very specific story. In this case, it was the story of a buffalo population in the Serengeti and kind of tracking those population changes. And I thought that was such a specific example, but it was a really good way of students being able to apply or find a reason to explain the phenomenon that they were seeing, and then, apply it to that specific situation. So I'm trying to do that with my very first lesson of the school year. So obviously I've already done it for the spring, but this is kind of me thinking for next fall. So I got my comic here for the washing machine, just because it's laundry related, because I think at this point in their lives, most students have gone through, the process of doing laundry. And I decided to structure it all around, why do some clothes stick together when they come out of the dryer? And this is a story that I think a lot of these students have experienced in their daily life, which also connects to the other article that I read, which was using phenomena in NGSS. And it talked about how you want to make the stories personal and relevant to the students. And everybody does laundry, so I figured this is probably pretty personal to all of the students. So everybody knows, if you don't put a dryer sheet in, you take some clothes out of the dryer, you can have some things stick together. Sometimes you hear them crackle, kind of, or make like a noise when you pull things apart. You can maybe see some sparks fly sometimes. So all of these are experiences that students can have and that we can use as kind of the driving force of the unit. And I also included on the next slide, I didn't actually create it because I'm having some problems with my cameras and stuff right now. But I think it'd be really fun to create a video of actually me or even someone in the class pulling something out of the dryer and seeing something stuck together, seeing clothes stuck together. And then you can really see this phenomena in action in real life and connect it to something that hopefully the students have seen before. So that was kind of my idea for this. Obviously, it's in the very early stages, but the trick now going forward would be, how do I connect every lesson in this unit back to this idea? We talk about electrical charges and the structure of the atom, and how is it that the structure of the atoms in the clothes that are in the dryer affect how they interact and why they stick together. So that would be the next steps going forward. So I like this idea. This was kind of already somewhat structured into the curriculum, but this kind of gives it something to keep coming back to. It gives it that storyline, like was outlined in the article that I read for this course. And yeah, so this is how I would choose to apply that storyline in my own class. So obviously it still needs some work, but I think this is a good starting point.